Picture yourself on a boat on a river with two of Hollywood's greatest golden age stars. You're in the middle of a Sunday afternoon classic. I'm Dr. James Morver, and in my dreams I'm sailing the rivers of the world. Welcome to my picture house. So when I saw this in the shop, I simply had to buy it because it's one of my all-time favourites. It's The African Queen, starring Humphrey Bogart and Katharine Hepburn. Directed by John Huston as well, father of Angelica Huston, and who directed Bogart in two of his great roles, The Maltese Falcon and The Treasure of Sierra Madre. It tells the story of Charlie, who's the captain of a tramp steamer, the African Queen, and Rose, whose brother is a missionary in the middle of Africa, and he gets killed during the German invasion, and Charlie says to her, "Okay, get on the boat, we're going back to civilization." So the story then is about their journey down the river, and it's about how this sort of romance develops between the two. Both Hepburn and Bogart were, well, this was towards the end of the golden age. Stars like that were kind of fading. It was entering the twilight years of their careers. This really is perhaps one of Bogart's last great roles. I wouldn't say it's one of Hepburn's last great roles though, because Hepburn, she did some amazing stuff after this. She did Summertime with David Lean, she did The Lion in Winter, she did Guess Who's Coming to Dinner, she did On Golden Pond many, many years later. She went down a coal mine in Wrexham. Let's not talk about that one. That's actually a good film, actually. I really like that one. The Corn is Green for Warner Bros. Television. But let's not talk about that one. And she did actually go down a coal mine in Wrexham, which... There's got to be someone out there who remembers the day that they were working in this Wrexham coal mine, and then Katharine Hepburn suddenly turned up. In her autobiography, Me, Stories of My Life, Hepburn wrote about Huston and what she felt about him. He was an amazing character. He had flashes, and those flashes were brilliant. When he told me to base my character of Rosie on Eleanor Roosevelt, when she visited the hospitals of the wounded soldiers, always with a smile on her face. He had felt that I was playing Rosie too seriously, and that since my mouth turned down anyway, it was making the scenes heavy. Since I, as Rosie, was the sister of a minister, my approach to everyone and everything had to be full of hope. A smile. It was indeed a flash of brilliance. In short, he had told me exactly how to play the part. The making of the film, though, wasn't all sunshine, rainbows, wasn't all hope, because the film was... They shot it in the middle of Africa, on location, and it was incredibly difficult to produce, to film, to make. They had a lot of issues, a lot of near disasters, a lot of actual disasters, so much so that Hepburn wrote an entire book on the production of the film, The Making of the African Queen, or How I Went to Africa with Bogart, Bacall and Huston and Almost Lost My Mind. It's well worth reading, this little book. It's a fantastic piece of filmmaking memoir. It's a fantastic piece of film history, this book. Lauren Bacall, Humphrey Bogart's wife, mistress, can't quite remember if she was married to him or not. She wasn't actually in the film, but she went along anyway, just for the ride. She helped out a bit behind the scenes, and It really is astonishing. Um, there's a bit here which I've earmarked about how the entire cast and crew got sick, except for Bogart and Houston. And it turned out that the reason they didn't get sick was because they weren't drinking the water. They were on the alcohol, and the alcohol prevented them from catching the same illness as the rest of the crew. It's not surprising it was difficult to make. This happens again and again with films shot in remote areas, in rainforests, in jungles, in very distant, hard to reach places. It happens with Apocalypse Now, which was a complete horror show. It happened with Fitzcarraldo, but that might have been more due to the fact that it was being directed by Werner Herzog, who was trying to kill his leading actor. Don't ask, we'll go there another time. I can't remember if Aguirre was difficult to produce or not, but again, that's sort of a similar rainforesty jungle type of film, journey into like a remote location. Again, though, that might be due to the fact that it was Werner Herzog and he was trying to kill his leading actor. This is a film which is golden in my eyes, and it lives forever in my heart. So I haven't watched this for a few years, so I'm looking forward to it. Okay, the original version of this ended up a bit blurry, so let's just quickly refilm. For our beverage for this screening, I have chosen the original Sailor Jerry spiced rum. A very delicious rum. I had some of this last night. I thought, let's go with this because rum has a kind of kick to it. A kind of kick that's very reminiscent of Katharine Hepburn and her sharp, acid tongue. You know, like, why don't we shave one of his eyebrows off and write the word penis on his forehead? Can't remember which Katharine Hepburn film that was from, though. I did struggle to find a beverage for this film. I did buy wine, but then I thought, that's more suitable for what I've got for next month. So, I thought about it, and then I came across this, and I thought, the design's like really 1950s, so, I mean, that hula girl is very 1950s, so let's go with the Sailor Jerry's spiced rum. Does this stand up? Is it still just as good? Hell yes. It's a lot earlier in the 50s than I assumed it was as well. 1951. I was under the impression this was like mid to late 50s, but no, it's much earlier, 1951. Oh, and apparently Humphrey Bogart did win the leading actor award at the Oscars for this in 1952. I didn't even see that on the back of the cover. But it does stand up. It does. It is still a great, excellent movie. It's well worth taking a look. It's well worth watching. I didn't realise as well how quickly the plot of using the African Queen, the boat, to kind of torpedo the Germans in the lake comes up. It comes up very early in the film, and it's one of the main reasons they're going down the river. Yeah, Bogart says to Hepburn, we're going back to civilization, come on. But then it very quickly turns into, we're going to torpedo this German boat in the lake. And that happens quite quickly, actually. I'd forgotten that. And it's interesting when you've got like a film that you really like. I think it's much better. Like, don't watch them like once a year, or even like once a month. Watch them every 2 or 3 years, and you kind of forget bits about them, and you see new bits, and there's bits you've forgotten, and it's much better if you leave them for 2 or 3 years, because you get to see them again with fresh eyes, like I did with this one. And God, I love Katharine Hepburn. One would shave one of his eyebrows off and write the word penis on his forehead. But it's a 5-star film. In fact, no, it's not quite a 5-star film. It's a 4.5-star film from me, because it does kind of sag a bit towards the end. It does kind of drag a bit towards the end. There's something at the end which is a bit coincidental and a bit a bit like, really. The other thing I realised as well, it's essentially a two-hander. It's essentially a stage play on a boat. For the majority of the runtime, it's just Hepburn and Bogart. It's just these two actors. And that's brilliant. It would make, I think, an excellent stage play. This film. Of course, you wouldn't be able to have any actors with the same class as Bogart and Hepburn, but I think it would make a really, really good stage play. And these two actors, they're allowed the time to shine because it is just them. They're allowed the time to develop their characters. The film, because it's just the two of them, isn't overstuffed. It isn't. You're not trying to work out who's who, or what people's motivations are, or who he is, or what she's got to do with it, or any of that stuff. It allows the film to breathe by just having such a minimal cast, just the two people. And I realise that's what makes this film so great, actually. Just because it is just Bogart and Hepburn. It's a brilliant film. I love it. I recommend it. Next month, for our Picture House, October, we're going horror. We're going Hereditary. And I haven't seen that one, so who knows?